Hello everyone, this is Jinx, one of the Monster Hunter math guys. So in yesterday's video we did an analysis on a meme run we did with 3 switch axes that never stop wild swinging. And as I mentioned in that video, the reason that happened was because I started crunching all of the different motion values per second, which are essentially the raw DPS of every single switch axe combo. But yesterday's video was more about analyzing and explaining the process of that meme run and not necessarily the combos, so today we're going to talk about all of the combos. At least we'll be talking about power axe combos today. The sword combos is a whole separate video because it's a whole separate thing. But even for just power axe combos, there is a lot of ground to cover here, so just a quick reminder before we get started. We do have our Twitter where we post updates about videos, our thoughts on things, and is overall a good place to get a daily dose of Jinx and Tuna. And Tuna does stream live on Twitch almost every single day, an even better place to get a daily dose of Jinx and Tuna. He will be live as soon as this video goes live, so be sure to come hang out. Alright, let's talk power axe combos on Switch Axe. So in order to contextualize these combos, we have to describe how power axe plays. Now in a previous video, we already went in depth describing all of the 4 different playstyles for Switch Axe. But in case you haven't seen that video, the short version is power axe mode plays for trips. The new power axe buff you get after a heavy slam gives you an increased part break modifier. This means you break parts faster and you get trips more quickly. And no, the part breaker armor skill does not increase your trip damage. This is a weapon attack specific thing. Combined with the fact that you are able to move much faster while in axe mode and also have access to repositioning tools like Fade Slash, this makes it a much more mobile, much more poke style of play. It has a much easier time dealing with really big or difficult to iframe hitboxes. These kinds of matchups with those kinds of hitboxes sword mode struggles against because of the hops having less iframe and very little movement. Against monsters like this, power axe is the go-to. So basically, power axe playstyle is to poke the body parts that make a monster trip until they fall over, beat on them while they're down, repeat. Now power axe has different combos when the monster is down versus when the monster is standing up and running around. Let's cover the combos while a monster is down first. So first off, we have wild swings, which as I mentioned in yesterday's video does have a 30% true raw bonus after the 3rd swing. However, this 30% only applies to base true raw, much like evasion mantle, meaning that we cannot just assume it's a 30% total motion value per second increase, so instead we're going with a 25% because that's about roughly how much you get on most sets. I already explained the mathematical reasoning behind that 25% in yesterday's video, so we're not going to rehash that here. Also, sword mode gets an extra 17% true raw if you have a power file on your switch axe. This pretty much only affects wild morph combos because the last swing of the wild morph is going to be a sword attack. Also, this combo does assume your sword is not amped because if you're doing a power axe playstyle, you're not going to have an amped sword. And last caveat, this is only going to be for raw switch axes because power element fast switch axes get way more complicated. I'll be doing a video on those combos at some point, but it gets really complicated. So for the first 2 hits of your wild swing, you are doing 23 motion value on the first hit and 21 on the second, so we average that to 22. And then the 3rd swing on gets an extra 25% total raw roughly modifier, so we have a 27.5 motion value per hit. And don't worry, for the sake of precision, I did not use these average motion values for any heavy slam or wild morph combos. I used the exact motion values per hit for both of those. But 37.5 motion value per second is very high, especially for axe combos. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, it does not beat sword mode combos when amped, but that's also not surprising because sword mode combos while amped are one of the highest damage DPS rotations for melee weapons. In fact, when looking at top DPS rotations for melee, pretty much the only thing that can beat this is going to be dual blades or aerial hammer / gun lance. But we'll talk more about sword combos in the future. Let's get back to wild swings. So the only things that can actually beat wild swings when empowered damage are wild morph and wild morph combos. However, these do present their own issues because wild morph itself is a very high 41.35 motion value per second. The problem is, in order to loop wild morphs, you have to use fade morphs into wild morphs. This drops the DPS to 39.35 per second. This is still higher DPS than just spamming wild swings, but now we have another issue, which is positioning. See, the wild morph fade morph loop does move you forward and back a lot, and the swings are so wide it's very easy to clip other body parts. In fact, on the background footage here, I am missing one of the axe hits every single combo except for the first one. Now with godlike positioning and the right monster on a down, you can loop 2 of these in a row and actually land all the hits on one part, but it's very difficult. And if you whiff a single hit, you're better off just spamming wild swings during the down. And for some a monster's geometry just makes it not possible not to whiff. Now there are two other combos that do beat the wild swings in terms of DPS. We have starting off with a wild morph back into a fade again and into a heavy slam. However, this combo starts with a wild morph into a fade morph, so it has the exact same positioning issues we had with the last combo. It is very difficult to make sure this all lands on the one weak point you want it to. Remember, Power Axe play is about focusing damage on the part of the monster you can use to trip them, and these two combos just struggle to do that effectively. The other combo is going to be a heavy slam straight into wild morph. Now this combo is actually not that bad. It does let you re-up your Power Axe at the beginning, the only problem is that it ends with a wild morph which puts you in a dangerous position. This combo takes a little over 10 seconds to complete. The average monster down is about 8 seconds and they spend about 2 seconds standing up. This means when you end this combo in sword mode, the monster will be able to attack you, which means you can only evade it with hops, which is a lot more difficult. And because it is a 10-second combo, that means if a monster gets up faster than after 8 seconds, either due to enrage or because it's a monster that stands up more quickly, you are very likely to get hit before you finish this whole combo. Now because all of these combos have very big issues with consistency and hitting the right weak point, that leaves us with pretty much two combos. And that's either doing heavy slam twice or that's just spamming wild swings into either heavy slam or wild morph. So the heavy slam times 2 combo is going to be heavy slam into upswing into heavy slam. This combo is particularly nice because it allows us to get our Power Axe up at the beginning of the combo. However, this full combo does take 10.63 seconds to do. This means if a monster has a shorter down than 8 seconds, it is entirely possible for the last heavy slam hit to miss. For that reason, if you already have Power Axe active when the monster gets tripped, you should instead just spam wild swings and finish it off with either a heavy slam or a wild morph as they get up. So this ends up doing at least if not higher DPS than the double heavy slam combo, and this also gives you the option to time your heavy slam for when they get up. You're not locked into a certain animation time. Just cut off a wild swing or two if you need to. Now wild morph does have more damage, however unless you're running Power Prolonger 3, you will run out of Power Axe most likely before the next trip happens. Your Power Axe only lasts 45 seconds and it's unlikely you can get 2 trips on a monster in a row in 45 seconds unless it's like Kushala. So you probably want to finish with heavy slam instead. So those are going to be the optimal combos to use when a monster goes down if you're doing a Power Axe style of play on Switch Axe. You either want to use 2 heavy slams in a row if you need to re-up your Power Axe at the beginning of the trip, or you just want to mash circle and then press triangle or R2 when they stand up. But now that we know what combos to use when the monster is down, how do we trip them in the first place? Well, you can't really wild swing when a monster is moving around because you cannot move or re-aim your wild swings while doing so, and you can't roll out of it. You have to either end it with a heavy slam or wild morph, or you have to slinger burst out. And slinger burst moves you really far. So when a monster isn't tripped and you're using Power Axe, you generally do one of 3 things. Your standard poke attack is going to be your upswing attack, that's triangle plus circle, because it's only a 1.2 second commitment, hits really high, and has a very juicy motion value of 31. Now if the window you're going for is really small, you might have to hop or roll out of this. But if not, you can work in a fade slash which adds an extra 34 motion value to the combo. Now because this move does launch you back pretty far, it does make the total combo time 2.67 seconds. However, you only spend 1.9 seconds in front of the monster, the rest of the time is spent repositioning backwards. So you can fit this into any 2-second window a monster gives you, which is most windows of vulnerability in the game. Now with a decent damage loadout, doesn't even have to be a meta set. On a softened weak point, this will be hitting about 250, 350 total depending on hit zone values, which makes it a very nice burst damage combo you can fit into very small windows. You can of course fade slash off of other moves like the stab or the side chop, but they aren't really worth it because they don't save you that much animation time. When playing Power Axe, you should really be looking to get in position to land upswings on the body part you want to trip. Now the last option you have is the Wild One downswing. This is a 2.2 second commitment attack and does deal very nice motion value at 68. Now the reason why we use Wild One into downswing is because it's the fastest way to get our downswing out. There are other ways to combo into downswing, but all of those add almost 50% animation time to the downswing. This is the highest DPS short combo you can do, however you do have to make sure you have at least a 2.2 second window. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot roll out of the wild swing, you have to slinger burst out of it, which means you'll end up wasting slinger ammo and also launch yourself far away from the monster. Also, that single wild swing 1 doesn't do that much damage, it's the downswing that comes out quickly afterwards that does all the damage. Also, if the window is about a 3-second window, you can work in a fade slash and get the f out. But again, Wild Swing does force you to have hard animation commitments, so you have to know your openings to use these. Conversely, the upswing and the upswing fade slash combo still does good damage. This means even if you misread the opening and can't fit the fade slash and have to hop or roll out of the way of an attack, you still have gotten some decent damage out. And then if a monster gives you a really big opening, you can just YOLO Wild Morph. Wild Morph does have a 4.4 second total commitment and you are forced to hop afterwards because you're in sword mode, but if a monster gives you around a 5-second opening, it's your best damage option. And at 41.35 motion value per second, this is by far the highest damage possible burst you can fit into that kind of window. But the reason I call these YOLO is because most monsters don't give you actual 5-second openings, so you're generally praying they don't hit you at the end of your combo. Alright, so that is all of the Power Axe playstyle combos for Switch Axe. To summarize, because the Power Axe playstyle is all about playing for trips, you have to make sure your Power Axe is up as much as possible. And then while the monster is moving around, you focus on beating on the part that makes them trip, so either the head, leg, or arm depending on monster. You primarily focus on landing upswings and then following it up with a fade slash if appropriate. If a monster gives you around a 2.5 second opening, you can go ahead and do a wild one downswing for even more damage output. And if they give you even bigger openings, you throw out a wild morph and pray they don't hit you. Pretty much all the other axe combos while a monster is moving around aren't really worth using compared to these three. And then when the monster goes down, if your Power Axe timer has run out or will run out during the trip, you want to do 2 heavy slams. Or you can try to risk a YOLO Wild Morph instead of the second heavy slam, but it's YOLO. And if you have plenty of timer left over, you just mash circle until they stand up and then press triangle. But yeah, that's about it for Power Axe combos. Axe play combos aren't very complicated, really the difficult part is learning positioning against your specific matchups. Positioning is an extremely important skill on every weapon, but Power Axe very heavily incentivizes aggressive and good positioning. But positioning is a whole nother video and a very long topic to talk about. Either way, thank you so much for joining us on the video today. If you have any friends who are interested in the Power Axe playstyle of Switch Axe, be sure to share the video with them. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to let us know by liking the video and letting us know in the comment below. These kinds of combo guides videos do take a bit longer to produce than our other videos, so we do want to know if you guys are enjoying this content. Thank you as always to Honey over at honeyhunterworld.com for creating and maintaining the tools you use to make sets with. And be sure to check out our Discord server, the Mathalos Nest, if you'd like to come chat or just come find some hunters to hunt with all different skill levels. Just please be sure to keep all Monster Hunter World Iceborne related talk to the Iceborne specific channel so our PC players do not get spoiled. We do of course also have our Twitter where we post updates about videos and our thoughts on general things, and Tuna does stream live on Twitch almost every single day. In fact, as soon as this video goes live, Tuna will be live on Twitch, so be sure to come hang out. And of course, none of this would be possible without the generosity of our patrons. And an especially big thank you to our new patrons Cody Taylor, Jordan Petit, Ray, Ricardo Alfonso Montero, I hope I pronounced that right, and Vaughn. The fact that you patrons are willing to support us directly like this is a constant source of inspiration for us. You remind us to constantly do our best and put out the best content we can, even when we're pumping out 5 to 6 videos a week. So thank you again. Also, a reminder that patrons are currently voting on the next meta series video we put out. Currently, Dual Blade seems to be in the lead. And every single patron does get to vote on this poll regardless of how much you pledge. So yeah, that's a thing. Wink wink. Alright, so we do have plenty more videos on the way for you, of course. We have quite a few different build videos, possibly some other combo guides, as well as of course the meta series on the way. And with Rajang coming in 2 days, you know we're going to be talking about him a lot. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want YouTube to tell you as soon as our videos come out, because the notification bell does that. You know, if you're interested in seeing all of that. Alright, happy hunting hunters, we'll see you in the next one. Bye!